Hello and thanks for joining us. I'm Mark Broom. Instead of our usual newscast at this time, we are instead going to cross to South Korea's National Assembly, where President Moon Jae-in is about to deliver a speech to lawmakers urging them to pass his government's 2022 budget plan. He hopes the proposed record $522 billion budget will help speed up the economic recovery. The proposed spending is an almost 8.5% higher than this year's budget. President Moon's budget pitch, his last as South Korean leader, as his term ends early next year. Presidents in South Korea only get one term in office. So this is really a crucial part of his administration's efforts to obtain approval for the record budget by early December. At least that's the plan. Anyway, sometimes these things can stretch a bit longer as the two main parties engage in various negotiations over certain subsections of the budget. We are now going to cross over to the National Assembly and listen in. Our translator is on hand to translate the President's speech in English for us in real time.
의석을 정돈해 주시기 바랍니다.
Please take your seats, ladies and gentlemen.
성원이 되었으므로 제10차 본회의를 개회하겠습니다.
We will now open the plenary session.
보고사항은 회의록에
The
게재토록
report
하겠습니다.
will be recorded in
오늘은
the
2022년도 예산안에 대한
document.
정부의
Today,
시정연설을 듣도록
we will
하겠습니다.
hear from the President on
오늘
the
시정연설은
government's budget proposal for
대통령
next year.
7번째 연설로서
This will be the seventh
1987년
speech
민주화 이후
since
역대 대통령 중에
President Moon's
가장 많이
office,
국회에서 연설을
and
하시게 됩니다.
this makes him
국회에 대한
the
존중과
most
행정의 뜻을
frequent speaker of the budget plan in the National Assembly. I would like to express my gratitude
국민들이
for his
힘들어하고 있는
active
때 국회와
participation
정부가
and
긴밀히
cooperation.
소통하는 계기가 되기를
I
바랍니다.
hope this opportunity serves as
그러면
a great
의사일정 제1항
place where we can speak
2022년도
and
예산안 및 기금 운영
plan
계획안에 대한
about next year's
정부의
government budget.
시정연설을
We will
상정합니다.
now begin President's 2022 budget speech.
잠시 후 대통령께서
The
입장하셔서
President
연설을
will
하시겠습니다.
enter the venue for his speech.
지금 대통령께서 본회의장에
The
입장하고
President is
계십니다.
entering the venue.
화면 넘기라.
존경하는 국민 여러분,
Honorable Koreans,
박병석
distinguished
국회의장과
Speaker Park
국회 의원
Byung-seok,
여러분,
and members of the National Assembly.
임기 6개월을 남기고
I have
마지막
6 months left in my
시정연설을
office
하게
term,
되어
and it
감회가
gives me
깊습니다.
deep emotions to stand here to explain government's
임기
next
내내
year budget proposal.
국가적으로 위기의
Continuous national
연속으로
crises occurred during my term in office.
정부 출범
Since its
초기부터
inception,
일촉즉발의
my administration had
전쟁
to
위기
surmount
상황을
warlike,
극복해야
volatile situations of crises.
일본의 일방적
Japan's
수출 규제,
unilateral export
보물
restriction measures
글로벌
against
공급망
Korea,
개편 등
protectionism,
급변하는
reorganization of global
질서에
supply chain are a few
대응해야
examples of the issues we had to address against the
지난해부터는
rapidly changing international
세계적인
trade order.
코로나 대유행에
From last
맞서
year, we had to
국민의
focus
생명과
all
안전,
our
경제와
capabilities priorities in safeguarding people's lives, safety, economy, and livelihood against the global pandemic.
끝나지 않았습니다.
It is not over yet.
마지막까지
We will devote ourselves to surmounting crises until the very end to achieve complete restoration of daily lives and the economy.
한편으로는
At the same time,
우리는
we are faced with the era of great transformation when the human civilization is transitioning fundamentally. The COVID-19 crisis accelerates digital transformation, climate change threatens the survivability of mankind, and carbon neutrality became a global task. It is a grave challenge for Korea as well, on which the fate of our nation hinges on. The government will boldly win through the era of great transformation, taking our responsibility and role to open up the new future. I have profound faith in our people's great power. Winston Churchill once said, "Optimists see opportunity in a crisis, and pessimists see crisis in an opportunity." Our people always had the power of positivity and optimism that we can do everything when we overcome crisis, and displayed Korea's true character of the country, resilient in situations of crises. The boldness of thinking that changes the game enabled us to achieve a bigger leap forward, turning crisis into opportunities. The North Korean nuclear crisis was reversed into an opportunity to open up the door to peace. We derived 3 inter-Korean summits and the first ever North Korea-US summit that sluiced peace on the Korean Peninsula. The dialogue is unfinished. Through dialogue and diplomacy, we will put endeavors until the end for a new order of peace and prosperity on the Korean Peninsula. Japan's export restrictions have turned into a turning point for our materials, parts, and equipment industries to become independent. The people cheered on, and the government and large corporations and SMEs all joined forces to respond. As a result, the key 100 items reduced its dependence on Japan and stabilized supply chains. Going beyond Japan to the world, we are moving forward as a powerhouse in materials, parts, and equipment. Amidst the global COVID-19 crisis, Korea's epidemic response efforts has become an international standard, and it has been an opportunity for Korea to elevate our status in the global community. It is the result of an advanced disease control strategy, medical system, dedication of our medical staff, and the mature sense of community. The world went together in this crisis, and we were able to rediscover our capabilities. Although vaccination started late, the active participation of our people made it possible to overtake the countries that started earlier than us. Compared to the total population, the first dose vaccination rate exceeds 80%, and the inoculation completion rate exceeds 70%, making us the country's world highest inoculation rate. Based on stable anti-epidemic measures and high vaccination rates, we are now starting a gradual recovery of daily life from November. The ordinary life of the people will be restored, and people's lives that have been cowed will be recovered. In particular, the micro-business owners and self-employed who are particularly struck by the measures will gradually recover, and children will return to classrooms. Welfare facilities will also operate normally, and the difficulties of carrying the low-income and vulnerable will be resolved. Healing, recovery, and inclusion will be the community that move forward, and we will do our utmost. A staged recovery of daily life is to move forward a daily recovery while stably managing the epidemic control situations on the basis of coexistence with COVID-19 virus. We will convert to a sustainable anti-epidemic and medical response system while maintaining basic control guidelines such as wearing face masks. We are now at the footsteps of hope. The government, together with the people, will create a successful model of daily life recovery, thereby completing the Korean anti-epidemic measures.
코로나 위기로 인해 크게
economy
걱정했던 것이
was a major
경제였습니다.
concern due to the COVID-19 crisis. The government has put all our efforts into overcoming the economic
비상경제 체제로
crisis.
신속하게 전환하여
We
과감하게
quickly switched to an emergency economic
국회와
system.
협력하여
In cooperation with the National Assembly, it served as a pillar to protect the lives and the livelihoods of people with unprecedented expansionary finances with 6 additional budgets.
그 결과
As a
주요
result,
선진국
it
중
recovered
코로나 위기
to the
이전 수준을
pre-COVID-19
가장 빨리
crisis
회복하고
level, the fastest among the major
올해
countries,
2년간
and the
평균
average growth
성장률이
rate is expected to be
가장
the highest for the 2 years, including last year and this year. Exports set records high every month this year, and we're expecting to reach $1 trillion in trade by the end of this month.
역대 최고의
This is the
실적입니다.
best performance that we have seen.
소비와 투자도
Consumption and investment are also
가장
recovering
회복이 늦은
its
고용의
vitality, and
지난달
even the slowest
위기
recovery
이전 수준의
in employment recovered to 99.8% of their
최근
pre-COVID
세계
crisis
경제가
level.
불확실한 상황 속에서도
Despite
우리
the
경제는
global economic
안정적으로 관리되고
uncertainty,
있습니다.
our economy is
국가
managed stably.
신용등급은 최고 수준을
The national
유지하고
credit rating is maintained at the
최저
highest level,
가상금리로
and external
정책가
trust is
발행되는
also
등
very strong,
대외 신뢰도
with
또한
foreign exchange bonds
굳건합니다.
issued at the lowest additional interest rates
여러분.
in history.
원 여러분,
Honorable Koreans,
경제 위기
fellow
국면에서
legislators,
정부는
in the face of economic
국민의
crisis,
삶을
the
지키는
government
것을
regarded
첫 번째 사명으로
its first
여겼습니다.
mission to protect the lives of the people
적극적
above
재정 지출을
everything
통해
else. Through
기업들과
active
개청에
fiscal spending,
폭넓고
we made
두텁게
efforts to
지원하는
provide
노력과
broad
함께
and thick support to the
취약계층을
affected
위한 사회
industries
안전망과
and
고용
also
안전망
build
구축에
social safety net
심혈을
and employment
기울였습니다.
safety net for the
특히
vulnerable.
코로나 장기화로
In
큰
particular,
어려움을 겪는 소상공인과
the SMEs and
지원을
self-employed people who
집중했습니다.
are experiencing great
네 차례에 걸친
difficulties due
18조
to
3천억 원
prolonged
수준의
COVID-19
기회지원금을
measures,
지급하고
we will
금융과
pay
세계 지원 등
18.3 trillion won in
다방면의
damage
지원책을
support
더해
over the 4
어려움을
times and try to
덜어드리려
alleviate
노력했습니다.
difficulties that they were experiencing.
올해부터는 손실보상법에
From
따라
2 days
영업 제한
later,
조치로 인한
compensation
경제적
for
손실에
economic
대해
losses due to
보상을
business
시작하게 될
restrictions
것입니다.
will begin.
법을 통한
Compensation
손실보상은
losses
세계적으로
through the
처음이어서
Loss Compensation Act is the
제도적으로
first
큰
in
진전입니다.
kind in the world, and this is a
조금이라도
great
격려가 되고
leap
도움이
forward.
되길 바랍니다.
I hope it will be a help and
손실보상법의
encouragement
지원
to many
대상에서
people.
제외되는
We agree
기업 등에 대해서도
that society
우리
should
사회가
share the
함께
difficulties with the
어려움을
damaged industries that are
나누어야 한다는
excluded
것에
from the
공감합니다.
support of this act.
국회가 예산 심의
The National
과정에서
Assembly,
지혜를 모아주시면
I hope it gathers
정부도
its wisdom
최선을 다해
and the government
뒷받침하겠습니다.
will do its utmost.
위기 상황에서 일자리를
Protecting
지키는
the jobs
것이
in
가장
times of
중요한
crisis
과제였습니다.
is and was the most
고용유지
important
지원금을
task.
확대하여
The
기업의
employment retention
고용유지 노력을
subsidies
뒷받침하고
were expanded to
특수고용노동과
support the company's
프리랜서 등
job retention
취약계층에게
efforts,
네 차례
and
긴급
we
고용
paid
안정
4
지원금을
times
지급했습니다.
the allowances,
공공일자리도
emergency
대폭 확대했습니다.
allowances for the vulnerable
고용
groups.
안전망
Public
확충을
employment
위한
has also
노력도
been greatly
지속됐습니다.
expanded. Efforts to expand the
전국민
employment
고용보험
safety net also
로드맵을 마련하여
continued.
고용보험
We
대상자를
had the
늘리고
insurance benefit and the insurance
특수고용
roadmap
노동자들에게
in order
신규로
to help the
고용보험
people
혜택을
with
드렸습니다.
special employment status.
국민 취업 지원 제도를 본격적으로
We
시행하여
implemented
취약계층의
national
취업과
employment support
생계
system in
안정을
earnest
도왔습니다.
and help the people who are
코로나 위기를
underprivileged to find
이겨내는데
employment and
정부가
stabilize their
일관되게
lives.
추진한
I
고용
believe the
정책이
government's
큰 역할을
consistent
했다고
policy
생각합니다.
and its support played a big role in
취약계층을
overcoming the
보호하고
COVID-19
격차를
crisis.
줄이는데 크게
It made a
기여했습니다.
significant contribution
우리
in closing
정부는
the gap
복지
between the
노동
vulnerable
분야 예산을
and
계속
protecting
늘려
these
출범
people.
초기
The government
130조
continued
원에서
to increase the
내년
budget for welfare and
217조 원
labor
수준이
from
되었습니다.
130 trillion won at the beginning of this
취약계층에 대한
administration to
복지 확대에
217 trillion next year.
생계급여 부양 의무자
Special
기준을
emphasis was
단계적으로
placed on
완화해
expanding welfare for the
이번 달부터
vulnerable.
완전 폐지했습니다.
And standard for
제도
the
도입
obligation
60년
support
만에 이집니다.
has been gradually relaxed, and it will be
기초연금과
completely abolished
장애인연금을
from this
월
month.
30만 원으로
This
조기
is
인상하고
the first time in 60 years
저소득
since the
근로계층에
introduction of
대한
the system.
근로장려금과
We increased the basic
자녀
pension for the
장려금을
disabled
크게
to 300,000 won per month, and greatly expanded the working subsidy and children's subsidy for the low-income working class. The Children Independence Allowance also established newly and to support the single-parent families. On the other hand, we're expanding the age of payment by introducing universal child allowance for the first time. And it started in 2016 to implement free high school education, and it will be expanded to all grades from elementary, middle, and high schools. The working hours were reduced and the minimum wage was raised continuously. As a result, the annual working hours decreased from 2,052 hours in 2016 to 1,052 hours last year, and the proportion of low-wage workers fell in 5 years from 23.5% to 16%. In particular, the medical expenses, the burden of medical expenses of the public was significantly lowered. Reinforced health insurance coverage, we resolved 3 major non-insurance issues such as elective medical expenses, senior fees, and nursing expenses. By implementing the Dementia National Responsibility System, the medical expenses for the families of dementia patients were greatly alleviated. A full economic recovery is achieved through an inclusive recovery. There are still many people who do not feel this warmth of economic recovery. The government will make its utmost effort till the end to achieve an inclusive recovery in which no one is left behind.
Fellow Korean citizens, distinguished members of the National Assembly, even amid the crisis, our economy did not stop innovating. Rather, it took the crisis as an opportunity for innovation, accelerating with its transition into a first-mover economy. As part of such efforts, the Korean New Deal was carried out in earnest. Adding on to the digital and green New Deals, it was expanded to include a regional balanced New Deal and human New Deal. The size of investment also jumped from 160 trillion to 220 trillion Korean won during the course of 5 years. The Korean New Deal, a path that we've taken first, has garnered global attention, and thus now is becoming a road that is taken together with the rest of the international community. Our world-class innovative capacities have become the strong driving engine in our transformation into a first-mover economy. Based on robust digital capacity and outstanding technology, our ICT products are leading our exports and thus standing at the forefront of leading a new leap forward, moving beyond simple economic recovery. Positive signs are also being witnessed among SMEs whose exports have jumped with 2-digit growth rates. New industries are becoming the center for economic rebound, and the semiconductor industry has ranked world top, while system semiconductors have also achieved significant growth. We are now walking towards becoming a comprehensive semiconductor powerhouse globally. Our future vehicles, including EVs and hydrogen cars, are also leading the global markets. Batteries, which are dubbed the heart of the future vehicles, are also topping the global list, excluding the Chinese market, with differentiated strategies stressing technical competitive advantage. Our biohealth industry has also become one of the 10th largest exporter item, serving as our country's next-generation growth engine. We are further accelerating the establishment of a global vaccine hub and developing vaccines here at home. The conventional stronghold industries that have once been faced with crises have also made great leaps forward, backed by the government's strong support and innovation. The shipbuilding industries has revitalized fully, continuing with its title of world's #1 ship orders. That is, it is also dominating the world's high-value-added vessels and eco-friendly vessel markets, thereby exhibiting the potential of K shipbuilding. The marine shipping industry has also been vitalized miraculously in some 3 years. The competitiveness of the high-tech industry is also growing at a fast pace. We have now become the world's 10th country to sign the Artemis Accords, which seeks to send astronauts to the moon. We have also successfully launched our very first homegrown space launch vehicle, the Nuri. With this, we have become the world's 7th country to send a space launch vehicle that can carry more than 1 ton payload. If we take one final step in accurately placing the satellite into the intended orbit, we will be able to launch a satellite with our space launch vehicle here on our homeland. The technological transfer will also enable the civil space industry to take another leap forward. Our innovative ventures and startups are also serving as vital roles in our request to become a first-mover economy. The spread of the second venture boom is transforming our economy in a vibrant manner. The number of unicorn companies have increased to 15 from 3 at the start of my government's inauguration. The amount of venture investment has also reached its highest already in August this year and is expected to surpass the 6 trillion Korean won mark at the end of this year. Our culture and contents industry has also become our new growth engine. Our culture ranging from K-pop drama, films, games to webtoons are being enjoyed around the world. Last year, the industry has surpassed $10 billion in investment for the first time ever. This is also leading to a spillover effect into related industries, including K-food, K-beauty as well, enabling the exports of our agricultural goods and cosmetics hitting fresh record highs. Nevertheless, our economy is not all rosy. We are faced with an unprecedented challenge never seen in the past. The global supply chain reshuffling is underway, which is spreading into a technology war to dominate sophisticated technologies globally. Moreover, as we head into an era of carbon neutrality, the global economic order and industry map are changing fundamentally. And IT is our national task to make such challenge into another opportunity. And we need to also take the reshuffling of the supply chain into an opportunity for our firms to expand their entry into the global markets. We also need to make carbon neutrality into an opportunity to create new growth engines and jobs. In particular, hydrogen economy, which is a vital industry of the carbon neutrality era, will be nurtured going forward to materialize our goal of becoming a leader in hydrogen and energy powerhouse. And my government will also be committed in achieving and increasing the K battery, K bio, K hydrogen, and K shipbuilding going forward. The companies, on their part, are also carrying out massive investment, and a K alliance is also being established by industry, building a strong partnership. Likewise, if we continue to garner wisdom on a pan-national level, I'm confident that we can overcome challenges and lead the world markets. Fellow Korean citizens, distinguished members of the National Assembly, now the Republic of Korea is no longer what it was in the past. We have become global models in quarantine and economic recovery. We have grown into the world's 10th largest economy, 6th largest exporter, and our per capita income has also surpassed that of G7s for the first time ever. Our military capacity has also become stronger, and we've become the world's 6th country with the largest comprehensive military power. Our diplomatic horizon has further expanded with the new Southern policy and the new Northern policies. We have also been invited to the G7 summit for 2 consecutive years. This shows the elevation of our international status. Korean culture has garnered global attention, and I am very much proud of the status of South Korea as a cultural powerhouse. Not only in the realms of economy, military, The Republic of Korea is also becoming a strong power and strong player in the soft power, leading the world in many areas, including democracy, health and welfare, culture, and diplomacy. As decided unanimously by the UNDP, we have become an advanced country recognized by the rest of the world. It is a great national achievement made by our own people. It is even more amazing because it is an achievement made amid a crisis. Our people have shown amazing capabilities in every crisis. We saved the country from crisis and have made a stronger Republic of Korea. Even in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, our people have united and cooperated. You also have showed a mature civil awareness as the main agents of quarantine. All economic actors have become the protagonists of economic recovery and great leap forward. I express my sincere respect and gratitude to all of you. Becoming an advanced country is a great pride that we have. But this also means that our duties have also grown in the international community. And the global goal that we need to jointly resolve is now the global climate crisis. My government has also joined the 2050 carbon neutrality initiative. In addition, it has also participated in raising the 2030 greenhouse gas reduction target, being dedicated to raising from 26.3% to 40% compared to 2018. When compared to other climate advanced countries that have reached their peak of greenhouse gas emissions earlier, South Korea, a country that has reached its emission peak in 2018, has set a very ambitious goal, which means that we need to achieve this in a very short period of time. And my government has signed the International Methane Pledge, an initiative that aims to decrease global methane emissions by at least 30% by 2030 and will stand at the forefront of the world's efforts to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. 2050 carbon neutrality is by no means an easy challenge. This calls for a fundamental reform of the industrial structure. It also requires the energy structure to be radically transformed. I can fully understand the voices of the industry that say the goal is difficult to meet. Nevertheless, we will not let businesses bear the burden alone. The government will spare no efforts in providing political and financial support. Companies are also boldly stepping forward for their own survival and future competitiveness. It is also time for the people to take action. We need a national action campaign in addressing carbon neutrality. We can move forward to a carbon neutrality society when small actions come together in our daily lives. Make it a habit to save and recycle, use public transport, reduce disposable items and plastics, plant trees, use renewable energy, and so forth. All of you can become the protagonists of achieving carbon neutrality. Let us begin now before it's too late. The government will also support the actions and practices of our people. Korea will also fulfill its responsibilities in addressing other major global issues. While intensifying global vaccine cooperation, we will provide $200 million to the COVAX facility aimed at providing vaccines to developing countries. We have also started cooperation to donate available vaccines to countries that are in need. Contributing to the international community according to our own circumstances, we will increase our ability to respond to global issues. By materializing universal values such as democracy, human rights, and peace, we will take the lead. We will continue to fill the gaps that we lack. There are many gray areas behind the rapid growth achieved so far within our society. We are a country with the world's most severe low birth rate. And we are also witnessing a high rate of elderly poverty rate, suicide rate, and occupational accident death rates as well. The real estate issue is also now the top livelihood issue as well as a major reform task. The concentration in the metropolitan area is becoming a stronger black hole and becoming an unresolved issue. Injustice, discrimination, and exclusion are obstacles in the integration of our society. In order for future generations to have hope, these are national challenges that need to be tackled. The government is committed to addressing these unresolved issues until the end, and we will also make sure that these efforts continue to the next administration. I hope that the National Assembly will also gather wisdom together. Fellow citizens, distinguished members of the National Assembly, the government is committed to achieving a complete recovery and the future of the country. The budget for next year has been expanded to 604.4 trillion Korean won. In consideration of this year's budget and supplementary budget, we have maintained an expansionary stance. In the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, expansion finance leads to recovery of the economy and employment, and it also contributes to fiscal soundness as well. It shows also that we have a very much longer path until we reach full recovery. We shall never miss the right time to transition into a leading economy. The fiscal role will inevitably play a bigger role in next year as well. Meanwhile, fiscal and financial soundness and sustainability are also very crucial. The government has so far utilized its fiscal capacity to overcome the crisis. We also have struggled to achieve balance with financial soundness, and this spirit has also been reflected in next year's budget. The amount of tax revenue this year is expected to be higher compared to which was submitted to the National Assembly, and it is expected to expand further. As a result, it may be criticized for erroneous tax revenue forecasts, but this indicates a stronger than expected economic recovery long run, which is also a very good thing for the national economy overall. The government uses the additional tax revenue to further alleviate the difficulties of the people, and by using part of it to repay the national debt, we also expect to contribute to further improving financial soundness. Next year's budget is aimed at completely restoring daily life and people's livelihood from the pandemic. It is all about investing in our strategic technology, the Korean version of the New Deal, and carbon neutrality. It is also an investment for the future. First, to protect the health and the life of the people from COVID-19, we will put our top priority on protecting the vulnerable class. By purchasing 90 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines, we plan to secure sufficient supply for a total of 170 million doses. In addition to securing sufficient hospital beds for daily recovery, we will also expand hospitals specializing in infectious diseases by region. In particular, the budget also includes compensation for small business owners self-employed in accordance with the Loss Compensation Act. And even those who are outside the scope of institutional support, we will expand emergency funds and resolving financial cliffs. We will also expand support for the recovery and startups of small business owners as well. Second, while reducing the COVID-19 disparity and inequality, we will achieve an inclusive recovery where everyone can feel the warmth of recovery. Next year, the standard median income will rise to an all-time high. The coverage of 7 major payments will be increased significantly. With the complete abolition of the standard for those obliged to support livelihood benefits, an additional of 53,000 households will be benefited. A pilot project of the Korean version of sick allowance will be conducted for some 2.63 million people. We will take the first step toward becoming a country where you can take good rest when you are sick. In addition, platform workers such as quick service drivers will receive new employment insurance benefits. Increased basic compensation will be allowed for people of national merit. A new livelihood subsidy will also be provided. In particular, we will strengthen the support for young people suffering from COVID-19. We will provide support in all areas, including jobs, asset formation, housing, and education. And expanding the youth job support budget, we also will focus on providing youth tomorrow savings account and youth hope savings, which will help the young people build wealth. And we will also make sure that a new monthly rent support program for low-income youth are introduced, together with an expanded national scholarship support for universities. We will realize the half-price tuition for the middle class as well. The budget also focuses on bridging regional disparities. According to the second stage of fiscal decentralization, local resources will be greatly expanded. 23 national balanced development projects are being promoted in earnest. The Life SOC 3-year plan will also be completed. By supporting the super wide area cooperation in the metropolitan area to be a successful model, which will also be spread to other areas, we will make sure that this is a key to opening a new era of balanced national development. And third, we will boldly invest in transitioning into a new future-oriented economic structure. 2022 is the principal year of transition to carbon neutrality.
And we will supply 2 times more than last year the economic-friendly and green-friendly cars of 500,000 vehicles. And we will also make the renewable energy more in use and making more city forests. We will also make the new greenhouse gas emission related fund of 2.5 trillion won. And this evolved Korean New Deal 2.0 will have about 33.7 trillion won of its budget. The R&D budget was expanded 50% to 30 trillion won. And we will be a stronghold and powerhouse of R&D in the world, becoming the first in R&D. And last but not least, we are going to do our utmost in terms of elevating the quality of life and safeguarding people's safety. The defense budget is expanded to 55.2 trillion won. The Korean government has seen an average of 6.5% annual average of defense budget increase. And soldiers' welfare will be very much enhanced with large increase in salary and meal costs. And we will also secure high-tech military strength through the R&D endeavors and reinforce ROK-US alliance with increased cooperation with neighboring countries and multilateral diplomacy, middle-powered country diplomacy. We will also expand the ODA budget of green digital public health sector. Natural disaster prevention and protecting lives of the people, improving in living conditions are the 3 major safety against disaster budget of 20 trillion won. We will also expand the children allowance to over 8 years of age, and we will also increase the usability of the public child care facilities. Next year's budget is my administration's last budget, as well as the initial budget for our next administration. So I believe and I hope and I ask for a bipartisan cooperation. Honorable Koreans, distinguished Speaker, and members of the National Assembly, our government has gone through a lot and we surmounted the crises thanks to your support. You have processed annual budget plans and rapidly passed 6 supplementary budget proposals. And there were a lot of legislations that were passed that has a significant meaning in the history. And so many achievements that you have made and achieved, I would like to thank and commend your efforts. We are at a crisis, and you always showed trust and faith in our government, especially our people, and I am very thankful for this. As a government that overcomes crisis, we will do our utmost until the very end, and we will not forget our callings to prepare for the future. We will not forget the mindset that we started out with. Thank you very much.
한번 하시죠.
Hopeful message here at the end of President Moon Jae-in's speech to lawmakers at South Korea's National Assembly. He spoke for around 35 minutes, urging them to pass his government's budget plan for 2022. He hopes this record budget will reinforce a recovery in what is Asia's 4th largest economy, despite a widening fiscal deficit. We will have more on this during our next newscast. That's coming up at noon Korea time with our Kim Mo-gyun. So until then, I'm Mark Broom. Enjoy the rest of your day and goodbye.